My name is Sukh. If you don't know, I'm the founder of Engine.ai, and I use Lovable to quickly prototype um, uh, like ideas when I talk to people on the phone. So the way I would do it is I talk to you on the phone, and I'm like, Melissa, what problem can I solve for you? You're like, it'd be great if there was a workflow manager and I could click buttons and do this. Then the next day, I build a prototype in Lovable, and then I'll show it to them. Right? What that happens? The reason I can do this is because there's no coding involved. I just ask you to build something. I show it to the person. If they like it, great. If not, then I can just throw it out. So that's what Lovable is. It's like a chat GPT for building apps. So yeah, go on. Yeah. So when you have an app that you're building, you need to have some sort of way of like preserving the data. So for example, if I made a new project in my Lovable app, I need the user to be able to like come in at a later point and log in. So Superbase is a database basically, and any Lovable app that you make, it doesn't have any database by default, but you can connect it to Superbase really, really easily, and it will like it's able to store objects for you. So this could be your files, maybe a project, maybe settings for the user. You can like save all those stuff in database that's provided by Superbase, and they're pretty inexpensive. Cool. Okay. So, does anybody have an idea like that they want to build? So we can like put that in here right now and see how good it works. Yes. Analysis for stock portfolio. Sentiment analysis. Okay, cool. So I want to. Can you see the screen really well? So I'm just gonna like put that in. So I want to make a sentiment analysis dashboard for stock tickers. So I'm gonna put in like as it is right now, and I'll tell you like what are the gotchas or like tips and tricks of getting a better answer. So it's just gonna go back, and you can see like the work it's doing. It's just like coding for you essentially on the left side here. Now here's the thing I want you to see. It actually, if you don't tell it what to do, it will make assumptions, right? So it's made assumptions about what are the backend that you need, what is like the different features that you need. So it's looking at like recent news, for example, for the sentiment analysis. It's also looking at the different design elements. So it's saying, okay, I'm going to get deep navy or charcoal backgrounds. So if you don't say anything to it, it will make assumptions. That's kind of the point of it, right? So this will give you, and then it's going to write the code, but this will give you like a super simple like V0 right away. Uh, no, that's actually a much better way because a lot of times when you're disappointed by what it gives you is because you didn't give it enough meat. Like you didn't give it like because it goes out and makes assumptions, and they you might agree with them or not agree with them. So what you want to do is go to ChatGPT and create what's called a PRD. Has anybody heard of like a PRD before? Yeah. So yeah, it's called like product requirements doc. It just like product managers do this all the time, which is they'll be like, okay, we're going to build this feature, but like, what systems are we connected to? What should the UI look like? Is there a logo that we have? Is there a way that we want the enter button to look? All that stuff is already thought through. Like you want to do the same thing. So you can get Chat GPT to create a PRD for you, refine it, and get it to a point where you're happy with it, then pop it in here. This is done. That's what it makes a little beep when it's done. So it's built. Looks like I can put in Apple here, AAPL, and see what it does. All right, so there you go. So that's yeah, exactly. So now that I've like made this screen here, I can go to yeah, there you go. So I basically popped it out. So like it just gives me like a lovable.app link, and I can send it to you. I can send it to here, somebody as well. You have like it's hosted with Lovable, but it just has a name of like it just says preview stock screener.lovable.app. But if you purchase a domain, so mystockapp.com, whatever that is, you can actually bring it in here. So buy it for $10, $20 on Namecheap. That's the one I use. And then you can bring it on here, and then you can attach your custom domain to it forever. Like however long you yeah, there's no it doesn't go down if that's the question. It just remains available, and any change that you make will be reflected automatically there. So there's no exactly, it's whatever Lovable thinks the name of your app should be, and that's the reason why you would pay them, is to be like, okay, I want a custom name there. So that's the reason why you would pay them. There's no limit as far as I know. You can just have the same link for as long as you want to. Yeah, exactly. So if you have like if you use Stripe to like collect payments, you can add a Stripe onto here. So for example, right now I could ask it to say, Okay, if person puts in one stock ticker, let them do that for free. But the minute they do the second one, show them this payment link. So then they pay for the thing and then they unlocks for them, right? But that opens up, okay, how do I store that this person's paid me? And that's where you need a database, and that's where Supabase comes in. So like for persistence for the user, that's so you can like monetize it. They don't have a problem with that. Yes, great question. Yeah. It doesn't do tests. That's a so tests would be like a step up. This just does like prototyping, right? So for people that just joined, we just created an app using Lovable, and the question is like, how do we test it? You can't really test it with like there's no like QA steps that you can run, making sure that a person can always put in a ticker, like make sure that somebody could delete it, all that stuff. You can't do it. You need like a bigger setup, and that's where Cursor and Windsurf come into play. So like that's where you would do that. Um, the first question that you had was, can I connect this with GitHub? Yes, you can. So you see this button up on the top right here. It just says sync your project to GitHub. What they allow you to do on the free plan is connect whatever it's built to GitHub. Why that is good is because this is like my first prompt. But as you keep building more stuff, it's going to get complicated, and it makes changes across the whole project. So if I say make like that, instead of making the background blue, make it red, it will make that change across the whole thing. So it can't do like minute stuff, like minute changes. That's where you sync it to GitHub, and then like you can make your changes yourself. But because it's synced, you can make changes in GitHub, but also here as well at the same time. So it's good to have it connected to GitHub, because if you mess up, you can always roll back to the older version. So if I'm working on something and I feel like a week has gone by and like this project isn't that good, I want to go back to what it was 2 days ago. I can click on a button and then it will go back all the way. Okay. So that's the first thing I was gonna show you. Give me. Oh, okay. So let's do now. Start doing edits on top of that. So this is the first version. It looks great. What I want to do is actually give me a future idea. What else should we add here? Wish list, payments, payment list. Okay, so wish list. Let's do that one. That one's a little bit easier, and then we can go on that one. So I'm just gonna literally type in, have the user be able to save stocks as a wish list. So I'll go ahead and like I'll make the change. But again, the thing is like we don't have Supabase connected, so it's not gonna be persistent. So if I reload the page after I've done the wish list, it's not gonna save that. So we need to like connect with Supabase, and that's the button here. And if you click on it, actually it's pretty simple. It's a little bit involved. You have to go through like a couple of different screens, but you can see that it's a complete Supabase is a complete platform for building apps with authentication, data storage, other backend capabilities, and you can attach it to any Lovable project. So I'm not going to go through that here; it's a little bit involved. But if you're doing that, let me know. Then I can help you as well. Yeah, it's literally like the two buttons up top here. You can also, if you were like, I want to like read the code, they just let you read the code as well. So this is typically like a Next.js project, and then if you know Next.js, you can like read through how it's getting all the stuff. One thing to note is sometimes it will just like make up, like for example, like we don't know how it's getting the Apple News sentiment, so you would want to make sure that where's it getting the news from. You add that as a feature to provide links to section. Yeah, exactly. And for this hackathon, you could like hard code it. Just say, hey, here's where you can find the Apple News. Just make sure that you can scrape it. And that's actually where Tavili API is really good, because it can automatically search the internet, right? So you can have it when the person puts in like Apple, it uses Tavili's API to search the internet, comes back with an answer, and then does a sentiment analysis on that to like tell us like if it's positive or negative, right? Yeah, this thing is still building out. So yeah, it's just like a lot of waiting game. Yeah, it's just a lot of waiting game to like see if it's doing something or not.
Can you drop images to put like a UI mockup into it and turn that into UI interface?
Yeah, that's a great one. So can you like update the design for it? That's one of my top tips, which is like I use this website called Mobbin, and let me show you what Mobbin is. So Mobbin is like they've gone through all of the top apps .com. Yeah. So Marvin.com, what it does is like they've gone through and screenshotted all of the top apps, right? So if I'm like, I want to build a setting screen, I don't know what it needs to look like. I can go to Marvin and say, is there a setting screen here? Hey, whatever, like my account and profile page. It will show me the my account and profile page across all of the popular apps. And like he mentioned, so what was your name here? Tom. Like Tom mentioned, I can say, okay, I want my app to look like this. I can copy screen, okay, and I can go to Lovable and I can paste it. And so what it's gonna do is now I can say my app design like this screenshot. Hopefully it's done the last one. And so so you can basically, like Tom said, you can actually provide it screenshots of other apps that you like, and then it can take the style information from it and apply it to your app really quickly. That way you don't have to like sit down and be like, okay, make this red, make this blue, whatever. It just already comes like that. It's just screenshot only. I would recommend actually just doing screenshot because like you don't know what it's looking at when you give it a like a URL. Also, a settings screen is after you log in. Lovable can't log in, so you might not get the benefit of what you're looking for. Always take a screenshot, and if you're short on time, Mobbin is a great place to like find all the different types of styles that are in the world and just copy a good one. For example, I really like Stripe's layout, like the way Stripe looks in their design language. So I always copy their dashboard and say, hey, can you make it like this? So yeah, so it's making so it says like I'll redesign your app to match the clean modern interface shown in the screenshot. This will involve updating the layout and sidebar navigation for a more polished design system. It's the fastest way to get your design to look good. It's a startup, but now they're massive. Yeah, it's like the fastest growing app ever. Yeah. Yeah, I think they said like last month they had 25 million websites created with Lovable, which is about 10% of the internet, or like 10% of total websites created that month. So a lot of people are building through Lovable.
Even static site.
So say it one more time.
Part of the 10% is it static website or
They didn't mention that, so I don't know where they're getting this number from. But like the CEO tweeted it a couple days ago, so that's what I'm quoting. I think it might be like all static apps or static websites. Yeah, so it's done. So it says like finish editing, and it then gives you like the list of changes that I did, and let's see if it makes it look like that or not. Oh, it's still working. Okay, so a couple of things. So if you're like figuring out which one to pick, I would start with Lovable first, and I'll give you like the hierarchy. Replit is also good, but it was originally like a developer tool. So like a lot of their language, it says like a lot of developer stuff. But it does do roughly what you're seeing here. Lovable is just built for like non-technical people. So if you're a non-technical person, never done code before, Lovable is a place to start with. If you're a developer and you're okay with code, but you want to get to the first iteration really, really quickly, Replit is what you should use there. If you are a developer and you already have a code base and you don't want to start from, because this is all starting from scratch. If you already have a project and you don't want to start from scratch, then do Cursor or Windsurf. And again, those workshops are coming up, so you'll hear from those people. Um, okay, so this is what I came up with, right? It doesn't look, it doesn't, so it doesn't it does take, and before it was all blue, now it's like a little bit more light colored, so it's trying to like take in the styles from that screenshot that I shared, and the more times you do it, the better it gets. But this is much better than what it was before. So that's my second tip, which is if you want to get design done faster, like Tom said, drop in a screenshot and you're like almost halfway there. Okay. The first one was the PRD. So go to ChatGPT, instead of like saying here, so instead of going to Lovable and saying, hey, can you make me an app that does that? You do here. You said, create me a PRD for an app that analyzes stocks. Ask me all clarifying questions. And so I like this workflow because you don't know what you don't know when you're starting out. This way, it's asking you questions, right? Sometimes it can go a little bit too much, but it's still worthwhile. Okay, so I'll ask you clarifying questions. It says like, what is your target user? So who is this for? Like, is it for like, I don't know, financial analyst, or is it for like an everyday person? Those are two different people, right? Main job to be done, like what do you want them to take away from using your app? The key features, data sources, You want it to be paid or unpaid, whatever. So you go through all these questions, answer them, and then I'll just say like for brevity, I'll just say make an assumption and give me the PRD to paste in Lovable. Okay, so it's going to tell you what are the assumptions that it's made. This is really good. Again, I can like I can just like read through it and say, okay, that was bad. This is good. This is bad. This is good. Versus Lovable will just start building the app, and now you're sitting there for like 5 minutes, being like, okay, I hope this comes out well. So for the final thing, I'm gonna copy this whole thing, starting from here. Like it made the assumption about the name as well, like stock scope. It's just better. It's just better because like the issue with all these vibe coded apps is like when you say create me an app, it will create you an app, but it obviously doesn't know what you know. So if you can like spend some time the prep work first, give it the screenshots that you want the UI to look like. Tell it like user stories, so like Jira style user stories. If you can create those, it has much better time because then it's not making any assumptions. It's doing exactly what you want it to do. And in the back end, I'm sure that they've trained Lovable on like user stories in the first place, right? If the user says this, do this. If the user said that, do that. So you get better output, and I've seen that as well. Yeah. So I'm gonna copy the PRD here, and just to let's start a new one. That way we're not messing up this one. So I'm gonna paste the PRD here, and then I'm gonna let it go, and then it's gonna do its thing. So like that's the way. Start off with a PRD and then do that. That's the other second tip that I have. No, no. So it doesn't have a vibe coding thing. It's similar to Cursor, where like that's a third category that I spoke about, which is like you're technical and you already have a code base and you want to make some changes. GitHub Copilot is the way to do so, but it doesn't do fully AI generated apps. It can only make small edits, which is sometimes what you need when you already have a code base. I'm not gonna start off a new one, so I'm gonna use what I already have. Yes. So safety aspects for the apps, absolutely horrible. It's like assume that whatever you put in here, like people can see it. And so that's a one big thing. Like they don't tell you that what you're doing is kind of not good or like not safe. Especially if you're putting in like API keys. So for example, if you're like, I want to make an AI agent, they'll say, okay, give me the OpenAI API key. And if you don't know what like API key is, it basically you attach your credit card to it, and that's how they know like OpenAI knows like who's calling the API so they can bill you. But if you put that API key in Lovable, obviously your app now is able to contact the API. But a lot of nefarious developers, what they do is like they'll look at your app and then they can like go into the source code of it. And I guess yeah. So I can like this is a stop app I have right now, and I can go to like inspect, for example, and like so I don't want to talk too much about it, but basically what I'm trying to tell you is anything that's on the app like developers can kind of see it. So like this is all of the code that went into making this app. So it there's a so they can see it. So your API key, if it's not like protected well, people can see it and they can like delete your databases, charge you money. So like all that stuff is but there are ways to hide it. So you have to do a little bit more Googling to figure out like what those ways are. I can or like any developer in the room can tell you like how to do that. So there is risk, and they don't tell you that. So they won't tell you proactively that, hey, somebody can actually delete your database. They won't do that. Yeah. There are a couple of tools that do security for you or like let you know that what you have is secure or not secure. So one of the again, I'm not going to go too much into it, but there's one called like Code Rabbit. What Code Rabbit does is whenever you have a GitHub repo, you can let Code Rabbit run through the whole thing and like point out issues for you. And one of them can be that your API key is exposed. So Code Rabbit can do that. Claude, ChatGPT, any of the others cannot. Yeah. 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 So just a question is, how do I secure my app with a login layer? So the fastest way to build a login layer for Lovable apps is to use Supabase. So Supabase is like an authentication provider as well, and you can set it up in a way. Let me see if I can like Lovable auth with Supabase. Yeah. So Lovable AI Superbase integration. I don't know if this video is good, but if you go through it and just add, oh yeah, how to add authentication with Superbase, those are tutorials you would go through to like set up a Superbase connection because there's a lot of moving parts there. Not only do people have to log in, but then you have to save that they logged in with this user somewhere in the database. So you need a database. So there's a lot of moving parts. So you would follow that video, but Superbase is the fastest way to do that. The other quick way, it's a quite a bit of work. The other faster way is you just set up a like a login screen. You say Superbase, sorry, Lovable, can you make a login screen for me? So here we'll do it right now. Me a login screen with username like XYZ and password XYZ. So I just basically said like, hey, can you make a login screen with password this and username this? It's not the best thing, but it's the fastest way to get a login screen going because like then somebody comes in and you can like share your password to people and then they can like log in, but like anybody else on the internet wouldn't know that password, right? So if you wanted to like do a login screen really really quickly, this prompt is what I would run. Go. Okay. It looks like it finished like doing something. So you can see like the if I reload and I do Apple, okay, I put Apple in. Can I wish list it? I guess like this heart is a wish list feature. So if I click on it, that's my wish list now. So that was the wish list feature that was building there. And again, like I mentioned here, if I reload, it's gonna go away though. So that looks like it. Okay, maybe it's saving in the client storage, but definitely if you go to another laptop, you're not gonna see that. So there's some sort of like persistence, but it's not bulletproof. Again, it's for prototyping, so it's to make your like first iteration really really quickly. I think so. So the question is like, is it more for like prototyping, or can I build something real with it? I think right now is more prototyping, but little by little they're adding new things in to help you productize it more. So before there was no Superbase, so you couldn't even do a database. Now they've added it in, so the team ships really quickly, and I think you can actually make a production app like this because look at the speed of this thing. Like I can like make an app in 10 minutes and then go downstairs right now and be like, hey, does anybody here need a stock analyzer? Because I have it. And like $10, right? Like it's just so much faster than if I was sit down, make this code by hand. It would cost me like 30, 40 days, just like get it up and running. And it's just way too slow. So I think what you should do is prototype an app, show it to customers, collect some money, then use that money to hire developers, like make it even better. But a lot of times what happens is like whenever you come up with ideas, they're not the best ideas. So you don't want to like commit like 30 days to an idea that nobody wants to buy. This gets that iteration speed out. Cool. Okay. We have one more question.
So sometimes like it's stuck in a loop. It's not improving. So how do you get go back to like a good version?
Yeah, so Mundagis, when I chatted with him last time, he was 200 prompts down. And so issue that happens when you have a lot of prompts is, let's say I want to like make a small change to where the buy button is, and I want it to be like down there. It has a very hard time because it wants to change the whole app. So it's very hard to like scope down to the middle thing. Actually, one tip I have for that is they just added this like select to edit button here. So if I click on that and then I can point it to just the buy button and then I can ask for quick changes right there. So I can say, like, make this red. It makes me want to pay. So I got to like sign up and looks like I have, yeah, I had a paywall. But, anyways, it can make a small change really, really quickly if I select it with edit. For your question, the versioning is like auto done. So like if you go scroll up, it has that every single time I make a change. Yeah, yeah. Let's. This is the one we just built. So let me see if I can find the other one. Like it will make like a block like that. Like you see that like add login screen. So anytime I like make a new change, I can always scroll up in chat and it has a restore button next to it. That's one way. But if you're really protected by your data, you can connect to GitHub and then GitHub saves all of the code for you. So that's the other way. Yeah. There's no database versioning. So database typically just like stays on the side. Yeah. Yeah. You can't. It's difficult. Our like Superbase itself has backups in case your like data gets lost, but Lovable and Superbase are two different things. So like anything that changes here doesn't change here. You would have to make it change, right? Either you would like delete the database or like download the database dump and then like upload it